Good morning. I'm Julio Saenz along with Mauricio Riveros. Today we'll meet Enrique Rioja, CEO of R&R Global Trading and Logistics, and hear his unique perspective on business and real estate.
We hope you'll be inspired.
Celebrating leaders in Rochester's unique and vibrant business community. We'll meet entrepreneurs whose passion and perseverance have helped push through life's challenges. Join us as we share their stories and journeys to success. It's time to be inspired.
Enrique, thank you very much in Be Inspired, a show that we developed to interview entrepreneurs, people who are interested, and you are one of those ones. So tell us, who is Enrique Rioja?
First of all, thank you very much, Mauri and Julio, for inviting me for this interview. I'm very honored with the opportunity. And basically, who is Enrique Rioja? Well, Enrique Rioja is just a proud dad of 3 kids, son of God. Recently, I just moved to the U.S. Two and a half years ago, I moved to the U.S. Because the main reason was because of health issues on my one of my little ones, and I'm a person who loves sports, loves to be outside. I love kids. I love people. I've been through a lot in life. In general terms, I've been in terms of professionally speaking. I had the opportunity to study here in the U.S. My background is I'm a petroleum engineer. I have an MBA, and I became an entrepreneur after my professional life in different companies, important companies such as Caterpillar, Toyota, and I work with one of the biggest traders in the world, which is Trafigura. And then I started my own company, which does trading and logistics. And recently I moved to the US, and even though everybody wants to come to the US is not that simple to do business with. And I understand why, because in here you have to be very competitive, and you have to be very specialized in whatever you do. So in certain terms, I had to reinvent myself, and now I started a project, and I'm doing real estate investments.
Excellent, Enrique, and that's very important. So let's talk a little bit about your background and working for these corporations in Bolivia. So you have worked in Toyota, you have worked in Caterpillar, and so how was the experience working in these transnational organizations, very large groups, and working in a lot of the import, export, and all that? What was that experience working in a corporate level?
Well, Mauri, it was very interesting because when I finished my degree here in the US, I moved back to Bolivia, and I started working with Caterpillar. And I found that it was very, very interesting because I met some very wonderful people. I met my mentor, which I call Mr. Jurgensen, Arnoldo Jurgensen, who helped me a lot through the transition from being young, unexperienced, and becoming becoming one of the youngest managers of the company at that time. I was very lucky to work with a company such as Caterpillar, which is one of the biggest in the world. And I had a lot of experience having to work and implement new ways of working in Bolivia. It was very, very interesting. I stayed with them for about 5 years of my career. Then I moved on to later on to become the commercial manager of Toyota. There's a difference in Bolivia than in here. There's only one distributor for the whole country, and I started as a commercial manager, and then I moved up to being the general manager of the company. That was a total different experience because it was working with Japanese. And Japanese, it's incredible. The country, the people, the way of working, they are very, very much of like for them, honor is everything. If you do a deal with them, a handshake is bigger or more important than signing a contract. So it was very interesting. We started the distributorship for this company that I worked with, and it was amazing. I had a lot of new things implemented. It was wonderful because you wouldn't understand why such a big corporation as Toyota was giving such important to a small market like Bolivia. Because in general terms, at that time, we were talking about like 10,000, a market of 10,000 new cars per year. But the thing for them, it wasn't the number, the 10,000. It was being number one. That was important for them. So at the end of the day, everybody wanted you have to buy, you have to implement teamwork. And I feel that one of the most important things in any company is people. I believe that the key for success for any company is people, is teamwork.
And so you've done a lot of amazing things, working with some very large corporations and with large corporations, and now an entrepreneur. What are some of the things that you considered before making that leap, and what advice would you give to other people thinking of making that switch from working for someone else to working for themselves?
Julio, that's important. That's a step that is not easy to take, because sometimes when you're working with a big corporation, you have a lot of security because you have a job, you have a salary, a monthly salary secured. You have certain things, certain benefits. When you are entrepreneur, you're like jumping into the unknown, even though you know that, oh, this is a great business. And when you get into that, it's not easy. A couple of times I thought it was like, should I do it? Should I stay here? But one of the reasons that I decided to become an entrepreneur was I was working with Trafigura, which is a trader, a very important trader in the world. And I was in Bolivia. I was the country logistics manager. And then they wanted me to move to Africa. And at the time, I had twins, a boy and a girl, that they were extremely premature when they were born. So the health conditions in Angola, they weren't the best. So I decided to step aside and then jump into the world of being an entrepreneur. So what I would recommend is like, make sure that you are focused on what you're going to do. Make sure you study, and don't let people think that, oh, there's these gold pieces that you will find, or you will become rich in 6 months, or you will do this and you will become rich. No, study the market, be careful in those, but don't be afraid.
Well, that's so important. What you said, Enrique. Sometimes we have these passions and we want to jump and just do it, and then we didn't do our proper due diligence to ensure that if we are stepping out of a corporate organization, then we go by our own, and then we can be in serious trouble. So the question of the entrepreneurs, right, is looking these opportunities. Right now, you are in a very hot market, especially in Florida. Here in Rochester, same thing. We are having right now a significant, significant cost in terms of the houses. The housing market is very hot right now. So, what's your perspective? Do you think this is sustainable, and how do you see the outlook in terms of the housing market in general?
That's a great question, Maury, and I agree with you. What is happening right now in the real estate market, it's crazy. Never thought, I don't think anybody thought that it was going to happen what is going on right now. 1 year ago, when the COVID started, everybody thought that everything was going to collapse, and all of a sudden, people started realizing that, hey, I have my office in my home, I have my school, my kids' school at home, and some people were living in small places, and they said, oh my God, I need a bigger space. My house needed a job to be done. So all of a sudden, there was this big demand for new housing. But there was a key factor, I think, that helped this actual situation. The crisis in 2008, 2009 was that there was a big inventory of houses. This time, the scenario was totally different. the inventory was low, and then that's why the demand has increased so much. People wants to have their own place, and some people from New York, New Jersey, Texas, California, they realize that, hey, Florida all the sudden is not just when you retire, you have good weather. Well, actually, they say in Florida you have two seasons, hot and rainy season. So you don't have the four seasons, you just have the two. And all of a sudden people are starting to realize that you have less taxes in here, you have better weather. And I think right now what's going on, there's a little bit of speculation because things are crazy. Things are, I like, yeah, like houses are increasing their prices over market. People are offering prices over the selling price in order to get a place. So I think it is not going to go down for this year. For at least I would say for until middle of next year, I would say that the market is going to continue in this behavior. But I think after that, it's going to start to slow down. It's going to start to come to terms. People is gonna realize that, okay, I got my place, or maybe Florida is not for me. Maybe I can find something better somewhere else. So I would say right now there's a lot of there speculation, and the demand is incredible because of the people, especially from other states up north and from Texas and California. Why would you think that somebody from California, which they have good weather, this and that, come here? Basically, in those people are because of the tax situation. We just learned that a lot of important corporations, they are moving from California to Florida, but because of the tax incentives.
Thank you so much, Enrique. We'll be back with more after these messages. As far as the overall economy, how do you think we're going to come out of this pandemic as things are opening up, and it seems, God willing, we're at the close to the end of the pandemic?
Well, Julio, I believe that, like you said, God permitting, we hopefully are in the last part of the pandemic. There's been a lot of people, a lot of suffering, a lot of people who died and passed away and stuff like that. So I believe the economy is growing. I think there's a lot of incentives. The government is gonna put out. It's trying to put a lot of money out there because there's a lot of jobs. But at the same time, there's a phenomenon right now right in here in Florida. You find where all over the places to work. We are hiring, and some people are prefer to stay home because they are receiving money from the government and sometimes making more money at home than working. And you find people that in the street, and you say, why don't you go and work? And they will tell you, oh, no, that's not for me. I have a back problem, I have this and that. So in terms of the economy, I believe that the economy is going to be growing. This is going to be a good year in terms of the economy, I believe. I think things are going to improve, but I think also that the government has to start slowing down on those incentives, to really get people into the working jobs.
I think that's a very interesting analysis, Enrique, around the impacts, positive and also in some way negative impacts. But I think the reality is that, like you said, there will be an injection of more resources. There is an infrastructure investment that needs to happen around, roads and transportation and all that. So there will be a significant amount of resources coming in, and hopefully, the opening of borders too. That's something very important. But we still struggle in other countries with the pandemic. Now, switching a little bit gears, you have worked with different type of teams. What's your recommendation for business owners who want to build that unique team, that teamwork? And you have mentioned a lot of teamwork during this interview. What are the principles to create a good, successful team?
Mauri, that's an excellent question because one thing is a teamwork, but also some people are hard. You need to empower your people. I think that's the key to success. And you have to be, as a leader, you have to be aware that mistakes are going to be made, but that's part of the process. Because if you make a team like with one leader, what happens if that leader is not around because he got sick or she got sick or whatever? You need to empower your team work, and you have to make sure that the people are conscious that they have to start making good decisions. They have to start learning that their decision can affect other people, can affect the health of the company. They can affect the interest of the customers. So I think the interest, the important, the key to this is, like I said, a successful corporation is because of successful people in the corporation. People makes a successful corporation. It's not, I believe that it's not that a corporation makes successful people. It does happen, but I personally believe that people makes great corporations. So I think empowering your personnel is key to success.
Very good. And just one last question. I'm just fascinated by so many different interesting jobs you've had over the years. What have been what have been the common elements through those many different roles, do you think, that have made you so successful?
Julio, I believe that, for instance, I had a great mentorship when I started in Caterpillar because it was Don Arnold. As a matter of fact, I still keep in touch. He's well, I'm a grown up already, and he's much older than me. And we started working usually always in terms of that. When I moved to Toyota, when I was in Caterpillar, there was the concept of working as a team and making the decisions, and every Monday having the managers meeting from the different areas and everybody saying their part. But then we decided that when I moved to Toyota, I said, we started that, there was a concept that they didn't use it. And then we incentivated that people from other areas, from the parts department, they could opinate and they have to give an opinion on the finance of the company. And some people would say, oh, this guy sells parts. What can he know about finance? Well, sometimes they gave great ideas. They gave great incentives, and they gave very good insights that help everybody. So at the end of the day, everybody needs to know that you're not just responsible, because a lot of people tend to think like, well, I'm successful in my area. I'm the commercial manager, so I'm good at my area, so I'm in charge of making the business for the company, and the rest is not my responsibility. No, eventually, yes, finance is responsibility of the CFO or of the finance manager. But if you don't help him in his job, and if he doesn't help you in your job, the company is not going to be successful. So I believe that the important thing, and Julio, sometimes it's hard because sometimes you find people that doesn't want to work as a team. They just want to focus on whatever they do, and they are good at that. They don't want to, and in here in the US, it's very, very special that, because in here, it's like people are like, no, my job is to do this, and why don't you give me the pen? Because that's not my job. That's somebody else's job. So in terms of culture, I think you need to, I believe that you need to empower and let people know that they can do a little bit extra, and it's okay. And it's okay to make a mistake. Sometimes, of course, if the mistakes are too often, that's not good. But mistakes are going to be made. It's like life. Being a dad, you're not prepared for that, and then you learn on the way. I mean, you make some mistakes, and that's when you understand why your parents told you do this and do that. But in business, I believe that empowering and trying to transmit the rest of your colleagues that they are part of the same thing, the same goal.
Wow, I really, really appreciate all the insights that you have give us, Enrique, with your experience, your background, be able to have worked with different countries, different cultures, different environments. And I think that's a very powerful experience that I'm sure that moving forward in your career here in the United States will be very, very useful. I'm sure that we will have you in the future in our show. It's always for us with Julio, we see the growth of business, we see the transition of businesses, and we love to follow up with our guests. So I'm sure that in years to come, we'll be together again and hopefully seeing the growth in your organization. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mauri. Thank you very much, Julio. It's been a pleasure. Like I said at the beginning, I'm honored, and especially with all the love of my cousin. So I'm very proud of him. He's a wonderful human being. He's a wonderful and a successful businessman and a successful father and husband and everything. So it's been wonderful to meet you as well, Julio. Thank you very much for having me, and whenever you want, I'm available.
To watch today's episode and the complete interviews of our guests, go to rochesterfirst.com/be-inspired. For more great talk with Rochester's entrepreneurs, listen to Bodette 97.1, Saturdays at 9 a.m. For Mauricio Riveros, I'm Julio Saenz. We'll see you next week on Be Inspired.